Nobody's speeding.
Unfortunately, even if we push you, we can't get you in the first.
Nobody's
It's a long way to the second hole.
I don't know.
So.
Is this the new Alphorn?
That's an Alpenhorn, yeah, that's a motorized Alpenhorn. Even the Alpenhorn is motorized now.
Now you get the scale of the boat, don't you?
Oh,
you see the.
I'm not a journalist, I'm feeding them words. Even the Alphorns have motors.
Alright, then where do we start? Do you want to start at the front, the back, or do we want to start with questions?
You know, it's more than just me.
Why didn't we race today?
Why didn't we race it? Because the race committee called off the race. But it looks like the conditions. I mean, it was really windy, then the wind dropped, and then the waves came up. So the waves were actually quite big offshore. It seems like right here in the city it was quite calm, but offshore there's a big breeze blowing in the middle of the Mediterranean up in Barcelona and Gulf de Lyon. So the waves are building there, and it's actually looking. When you get a few miles offshore, it starts to get pretty nasty. So I guess.
Got any bets for when we are going to go and race?
Well, I don't know. We'll have weather updates every 4 or 5 hours or so, and at the moment it's not looking too promising. I think Friday looks like there's a chance, but it's a cautious one.
So specifically, how big a waves would be too big a wave?
Well, meter to
Dirk,
meter
it's
and a half.
actually the thing was it's not just a wave today. Today was an odd situation where the strong westerly causing pretty significant westerly wind waves,
Right.
with a very strong northwesterly offshore causing the waves to come around and sweep in with a very large northeasterly swell. And we actually had boats that were on the course with their drogues out measuring the wind and sending back the information, who were having waves breaking over their transoms while their bows were being held into the wind. And so it was a very confused and quite large sea. The race committee went out to look at it because they didn't, they're just looking at the buoys like everybody else and saying, oh well, it says whatever it says. But the fact was, it's quite a washing machine.
So
and it's well beyond.
So the waves from the northeast, the wind from the west. Or
and it's quite common here. I mean, we saw this a lot of times trying to train in the version 5 boats, and it's a very difficult condition to sail in with as you sail downwind into this large swell. Of course, the downwind being your fastest wind angle. So the conditions today were far beyond anything you would have seen the past boats racing in. And, it's the only thing is when you look right off the breakwater, the first half mile that you can see, it didn't look that bad. But 25 miles out, it's pretty nasty. So that's what the race committee told us.
Dirk, what's the most at risk on the boat in these situations? Is it the crew? Is it there a specific part of the boat you're worried about?
Well, ultimately, we're always worried about the crew. That's the final call. But we tried to design these boats so that there's no particular weak link. But in waves, there's a racking element to the boats. The waves, the pitching of the boat does a terrible job on the rig and sails. So, there's several aspects to it.
Is a catamaran more at risk than a trimaran in these conditions, or is it?
I don't think so. I don't think it's really dependent so much on the type of vessel, really.
So given that they added 33 feet recently to their wing, where do you think the crossover point is between you guys and them?
We've been trying to figure that out. We don't really know. Well, the only thing I can guess is that it seems like they're behaving such that they don't want to sail in the light air, so they must think that that we are stronger in the lighter air, and but we haven't been able to measure it accurately. I think they've followed us pretty accurately, so I think they know more about us than we know about them. Don't you agree?
Practical question. I noticed that you're using the crane to lift the sail off. How much does the mainsail weigh? Could you tell us?
A lot.
A lot, yes.
It probably weighs about at least 5 times as much as an old version 5 main.
Which is about how much?
I'd say it's probably between 550 and 650 kilos. No, maybe even more. depends on which main we're talking about, because there's some of our mains have reefs and other mains don't, so they're not all the same.
Dirk, it looks like you have the curved foils on. It appears a couple days ago you had straighter foils. Is that correct?
Yep. And that's just mostly to do with the conditions that we expect. So generally, I mean, it's not exactly. I can't tell you exactly what the conditions are, but it's generally in heavier conditions, we tend to favor the curved foils, and lighter conditions, the straighter foils. And then we have a whole quiver. You saw one of them out there in the tunnel. But we also have other levels of curvature, different styles of curvature.
What's the different benefits of the foils? Kind of, I mean, not too technical, but what does the S foil give you?
Well, basically, the more curve, the more lift. The more it lifts the boat out of the water. Probably compromise some of the holding ability transversely, but it's mostly to do with how much you want the boat to lift out of the water.
And lighter air, you just don't have enough power to do that.
Yeah, lighter. Well, I mean, you can think of it this way: the most efficient way to support weight at zero speed is a balloon. It's just a tub sitting in the water, and at really high speeds, the wing becomes more efficient. And so basically, the faster you go, the better a foil or a wing will behave.
I noticed looking at the foil that you have up there that it's the entry is fairly fine compared to what we might see on a dinghy centerboard, a laser centerboard, for example. Is that a factor of the speed going at?
Somewhat, yes, but I mean, we've played around with all kinds of different foils. Back in the shed over there, in one of the old slots, we have the pieces for the 41-footer that we've spent quite a bit of time developing. So there's a whole number of different styles of foils we've tried on the smaller boat, and that's all transferred over to the big boat.
Sorry, could you tell us something about the water ballast system?
The water ballast system, that's right there.
Yeah.
What about gallons per minute or so?
Roughly how much water can you put in the system if it would be full?
Yes.
Okay. Don't say too much about that. But is the engine used then to pump it back?
No, the engine's not used for.
No, not for that.
No, I mean there's different ways we can deal with the plumbing and filling of water balance systems.
So it means that while you're going on one tack, you have to move the water through the lure before you tack.
Curtis, how long is that going to happen?
Here comes the engine. Good.
Got to go up the top.
So it's not good.
Okay.
So what uses is the engine for? For sheeting?
It's for sheeting. I mean, you'll probably see it here in a minute. I think Curtis is going to go up.
Yeah.
But we can turn winches. We can move the hydraulic cylinders. There's a number of hydraulic cylinders all over the boat, inside the mast, for the shrouds, inside that spreader, for example, to pull on the forestay. There are a couple of hydraulic cylinders in there. So there's quite a few controls.
Creates the hydraulic pressure.
Right, so the pump. So there's an engine that's attached to a pump, and so it drives the pump to provide the hydraulic pressure to drive. So you can see here that Curtis has got his foot on the pedal, and he just pushes the button, and the winch starts turning. And you can hear, as soon as he pushes his foot on the pedal, the engine revs up, and the power comes on.
So you mean it's remote control from several places?
Sounds like actually somebody's going up inside the mast.
So it doesn't start like automatically when pressure is needed. You have to push on the pedal.
Well, the need is provided by the human. The sailor says, I want power, and he pushes whatever button, whether it's a push button or a foot pedal. So the winches is generally a foot pedal. See behind these little covers, there's all the manual controls.
What kind of an engine?
It's a 4-stroke engine.
Do you have a brand name, you said?
No, we got it from a Swiss motorcycle engine supplier.
It's a snowmobile or something like that.
Originally it's used for a snowmobile.